Welcome back to Stoic Wisdom TV. Life is a sprawling canvas, and relationships are the threads that give it color, depth, and meaning. Each connection, whether a fleeting romance, a lifelong friendship, or a familial bond, adds a unique hue to the tapestry of your existence. But how do you ensure those threads are vibrant, enduring, and true to who you are? How do you become the kind of person who attracts not just passing affection or shallow admiration, but deep, mutual respect and love that resonates with the core of your being? We all crave connection, not the kind that sparkles for a moment and then fades, but the kind that's built on genuine understanding, shared values, and a quiet, unshakable strength. The answer doesn't lie in chasing validation, conforming to others' expectations, or mastering the art of charm. It lies in cultivating a resolute sense of self-worth, rooted in timeless wisdom that guides you through the unpredictable waves of human connection. This isn't a journey of quick fixes or clever lines. It's an adventure of self-discovery, a quest to unearth the treasures hidden within your soul and learn how to share them with the world. The map for this journey comes from an unexpected source, Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that's as relevant in today's fast-paced, hyper-connected world as it was in the bustling forums of ancient Rome. Stoicism isn't about suppressing your emotions or becoming a cold, unfeeling statue. It's about mastering what's within your control, your thoughts, your actions, your values, and letting go of what isn't. It's about living with purpose, dignity, and resilience, especially in the complex, often messy realm of relationships. Today, we're going to walk through 9 Stoic lessons that will empower you to become the best version of yourself in love and life. These aren't recycled dating tips or shallow platitudes you'd find in a self-help blog. They're principles forged in the fires of ancient wisdom, tested through centuries, and designed to help you build connections grounded in mutual respect, inner strength, and authenticity. So, settle in, clear your mind, and let's embark on this journey together. By the end, you'll have a toolkit to navigate the twists and turns of human connection with clarity, confidence, and a quiet power that sets you apart. The foundation of any meaningful relationship, were romantic, familial, or platonic, is a deep, unwavering understanding of your own value. The Stoics believe that our worth isn't determined by external markers, the number of likes on a social media post, the compliments we receive, or whether someone chooses to love us back. Our worth is rooted in what we control: our character, our actions, our principles. As Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Your value is yours to define, and no one, not a romantic partner, a friend, or a stranger, can take it away unless you hand them the power to do so." Imagine yourself as a rare gemstone, buried deep within the earth, its facets catching the light in ways that only a discerning eye can appreciate. Not everyone who passes by will recognize its brilliance. Some may walk right over it, oblivious to its rarity, but that doesn't diminish its inherent value. It remains precious, unique, and one of a kind. That's you. Your worth doesn't fluctuate based on someone else's opinion or attention. It's constant, anchored in who you are and how you choose to live. In today's world, it's easy to get caught up in external validation. Social media bombards us with curated images of perfection, people who seem to have it all together, whose lives look effortlessly glamorous. Rejection, whether in dating or elsewhere, can sting, making us question our value. We've all felt that pang of inadequacy when a message goes unanswered, or a date doesn't lead to a second one. But the Stoics would urge you to turn inward, to shift your gaze from the noise of the outside world to the quiet strength within. Your worth isn't tied to how many followers you have, how attractive you appear, or whether someone texts you back. It's found in the moments of self-reflection, in the way you carry yourself through life's challenges. Are you kind? Are you honest? Do you strive to live in alignment with your values? These are the qualities that define your worth, not the fleeting judgments of others. This understanding isn't a what-I'm revelation, it's a practice, a daily commitment to recognizing your inherent value. Each morning, take a moment to remind yourself, I am enough, not because of what others think, but because of who I choose to be. This simple act of affirmation grounds you, setting the tone for how you move through the world. In relationships, this mindset is transformative. When you're secure in your own worth, You don't beg for approval or twist yourself into knots to please others. You show up as yourself, authentic, grounded, and unapologetic. You attract people who see your value not because you demand it, but because you embody it. This isn't about arrogance or self-absorption. It's about clarity. You know who you are, and you live in a way that reflects that truth. To start this practice, set aside 5 minutes today to reflect on your qualities. Write down 3 traits that make you unique. Were not just surface-level accomplishments like a promotion or a marathon finish, but deeper characteristics like your curiosity, your ability to listen without judgment, or your resilience in the face of adversity. Maybe it's the way you make people laugh, the patience you show with a struggling coworker, or the quiet determination that keeps you going when life gets tough. Then ask yourself, am I living in a way that honors these qualities? If not, identify one small action you can take today to align your life with your values. Perhaps it's speaking up in a conversation where you'd normally stay silent, or showing kindness to someone who needs it. This is the Stoic way, steady, intentional, and rooted in self-awareness. Over time, these small acts of reflection and action build a foundation of unshakable self-worth that radiates into every relationship you form, drawing in those who see and honor the gem that you are. But knowing your worth is only the beginning. How you present that worth to the world matters just as much. In a culture obsessed with appearances, it's tempting to mold yourself into someone else's idea of perfection. You might tweak your style, adjust your speech, or hide parts of yourself to fit in or impress. Maybe you've worn clothes that didn't feel like you to seem more attractive, or held back a quirky passion like your love for vintage comic books, or your obsession with baking soda to avoid judgment. But the Stoics would call this a betrayal of your own nature. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them. And it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now." Presenting yourself with dignity isn't about chasing approval or conforming to trends. It's about carrying yourself with integrity, aligning your outward actions with your inner values, regardless of who's watching. Dignity isn't about flashy gestures, designer clothes, or a carefully curated Instagram feed. It's about consistency, showing up as your authentic self, day in and day out. Whether you're at a bar, a boardroom, or a first date, picture two people at a social gathering. One is loud and performative, using big words and grand gestures to win the room's attention. They're trying to prove something, to be seen as the most interesting person there. The other is quiet, composed, speaking only when they have something meaningful to say. Their presence is steady, their words deliberate, their energy calm but confident. Who leaves a lasting impression? More often than not, it's the one who's genuine, who doesn't need to prove anything because they're secure in who they are. That's the power of dignity. It's magnetic, not because it shouts, but because it's real. In relationships, dignity is your anchor. It's choosing to dress in a way that reflects self-respect, not chasing the latest trends to impress. It's speaking with clarity and honesty, not tailoring your words to please or avoid conflict. It's embracing your quirks, whether it's your love for obscure sci-fi novels, your passion for hiking at dawn, or your habit of quoting old movies without fear of being misunderstood. When you present yourself with dignity, you send a clear message: this is who I am, and I'm at peace with it. That kind of authenticity draws in people who value you for you, not for some polished facade you've put on to fit in. Dignity also means treating yourself with respect. If you're constantly putting yourself down, calling yourself not good enough, or dismissing your own needs, you're setting a precedent for how others will treat you. The Stoics believed that self-respect is the cornerstone of a virtuous life. When you value your time, your energy, and your emotions, you establish a standard. I am worthy of respect, and I expect to be treated as such. This isn't about arrogance or entitlements, about clarity. You're not demanding worship. You're simply refusing to diminish yourself for the sake of others' approval. To embody this lesson, try this next time you're tempted to compromise your authenticity to impress someone, whether it's dressing in a way that feels unnatural, hiding a passion, or laughing at a joke that doesn't sit right with you. Pause. Take a breath and ask yourself, am I acting from a place of self-respect, or am I seeking approval? Then choose one action that honors your dignity. Maybe it's wearing an outfit that feels like you, even if it's not what's trending. Maybe it's sharing a passion you've kept hidden, like your love for jazz or your knack for fixing old radios. These small choices reinforce your self-respect, and over time, they create a presence that others can't help but admire. When you carry yourself with dignity, you invite relationships built on mutual respect, not superficial validation, setting the stage for connections that are as authentic as you are. Words are powerful, but actions often speak louder. And the Stoics understood that how you carry yourself, your posture, your gaze, your energy communicates more than any speech ever could. In relationships, nonverbal cues set the tone before you even open your mouth. A Stoic approach to nonverbal communication is about intentionality. Every gesture, every pause, every choice reflects your inner state and your commitment to living with purpose. Consider how you enter a room. Slumped shoulders, averted eyes, and fidgety hands signal insecurity, even if your words are polished and confident. On the other hand, a straight posture, a steady gaze, and a calm demeanor convey strength and presence. This isn't about faking confidence or putting on a show, it's about aligning your outward behavior with your inner resolve. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, wrote, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." If you imagine yourself as unworthy, your body will betray that belief, slumping or shrinking to match your thoughts. But if you stand firm in your worth, your presence will reflect it, commanding respect without a word. In the context of dating, nonverbal communication is critical. When you approach someone new, whether at a coffee shop or a party, your energy sets the stage. A warm smile, relaxed posture, and attentive listening show that you're present and engaged, creating an instant connection. Conversely, fidgeting, checking your phone, or avoiding eye contact signals disinterest. Even if your words are charming, the Stoics would urge you to be mindful of these cues not to manipulate others, but to ensure your actions align with your values. If you value connection, show it through your presence. Put your phone away, listen actively, and let your body language convey openness. If you value respect, demonstrate it through your demeanor. Stand tall, make eye contact, and move with purpose. These subtle signals speak volumes, often more than words ever could. Nonverbal communication also extends to how you manage your time and attention. In a hyper-connected world, being instantly available, responding to every text within seconds, always saying yes to plans can signal that your time isn't valuable. But a Stoic approach is different. It's about being selective, fully present when you're with someone, giving them your undivided attention, but protective of your own space when you're not. This isn't about playing hard to get or manipulating someone's interest. It's about valuing yourself enough to set boundaries. When you're discerning with your time, you communicate self-respect, which in turn invites others to treat you with the same regard. Imagine you're on a date and your phone keeps buzzing with notifications. If you keep checking it, you're signaling that the person in front of you isn't a priority. But if you silence it and focus entirely on the moment, you're saying, "This matters, you matter, and so do I." To hone this skill, try this practice for one day. Pay close attention to your nonverbal cues. Notice how you stand, how you move, how you listen. Are you projecting confidence and presence, or are you letting insecurity slip through in your posture or distracted glances? Then choose one small adjustment, perhaps maintaining eye contact during a conversation, standing a little taller, or putting your phone away to be fully present. Observe how these changes affect the dynamic. You'll likely find that subtle shifts in your nonverbal communication can transform how others perceive you, creating a foundation for deeper, more authentic connections. Over time, this mindfulness becomes second nature, aligning your presence with your values and strengthening the way you show up in every relationship. One of the most liberating principles in Stoicism is the acceptance of what you can and cannot control, and in relationships, this translates to a powerful truth. You can't force someone to value you, love you, or treat you with respect, but you can choose whether to stay in a situation that undermines your worth. The courage to walk away is a cornerstone of self-respect, and it's a lesson that can transform how you approach love and connection. We've all been there, holding onto a relationship that feels off, hoping it'll get better. Maybe it's the fear of loneliness, the comfort of familiarity, or the faint hope that things will change. Perhaps you've stayed in a romance that drained you, a friendship that felt one-sided, or a family dynamic that left you feeling small. But the Stoics would ask, why are you clinging to something that diminishes you? Epictetus said, you have power over your men, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Walking away isn't about giving up or admitting defeat. It's about choosing yourself, about recognizing that your worth doesn't depend on someone else's validation, and acting on that truth. This doesn't mean abandoning a relationship at the first sign of trouble. Love, whether romantic, platonic, or familial, requires effort, patience, and compromise. Challenges are part of any meaningful connection, and working through them can strengthen a bond, like forging steel in a fire. But there's a difference between navigating difficulties together and staying in a situation that consistently disrespects your values or erodes your sense of self. Knowing when to leave is about clarity. To understand your worth so deeply that you refuse to settle for less than you deserve. Imagine you're dating someone who repeatedly dismisses your feelings, brushing off your concerns with a laugh or ignoring your boundaries. The Stoic response isn't to beg for their attention or compromise your principles to keep the peace. It's to calmly assess the situation. Does this relationship align with my values? Does it honor who I am? If the answer is no, you have the power to walk away, not out of anger or spite, but out of self-respect. This act of courage isn't just about ending something that's wrong. It's about creating space for something that's right, for connections that lift you up instead of pulling you down. Walking away doesn't always mean a dramatic exit. Sometimes it's a quiet decision, a private realization that this relationship were a romance, a friendship, or even a professional connection doesn't align with your path. It's about trusting that by letting go, you're opening the door to something better. This takes courage, especially when the future feels uncertain. The fear of being alone or starting over can be paralyzing. But the Stoics remind us that uncertainty is part of life. As Seneca wrote, you must live in the present, launch yourself on every wave. Find your eternity in each moment by walking away from what doesn't serve you. You're not just protecting your peace, you are embracing the possibility of a future that reflects your worth. To internalize this lesson, try this practice. Reflect on a past relationship prompting or otherwise where you stayed longer than you should have. What kept you there? Was it fear of loneliness, hope for change, or the weight of time invested? Write down 1 or 2 reasons you stayed, and then imagine how a Stoic mindset could have guided your decision differently. Now set a clear boundary for the future. If a relationship consistently disrespects my values, I will address it and, if necessary, walk away. The next time you face a situation that feels misaligned, lean on this boundary. Remind yourself that walking away isn't failure, it's strength. It's a declaration that you value yourself enough to choose a path that honors who you are, paving the way for connections that are worthy of your time and energy. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define your self-respect, but they're not just words you say, they're actions you take. The Stoics emphasize living in alignment with your principles, and that means enforcing the limits you set for yourself. Saying, I won't tolerate disrespect, is easy. Standing by it when emotions are high is where true strength lies. Imagine you're dating someone who cancels plans at the last minute without a good reason. You could brush it off, telling yourself it's no big deal to avoid conflict. But that sends a message: my time isn't valuable. A Stoic response is different. You might calmly say, I value reliability, so let's plan something when you're able to commit. Your words set the expectation, but your actions following through by not tolerating repeated cancellations fork the boundary. This combination of clarity and consistency shows that you respect yourself, and it sets a standard for how others should treat you. Setting boundaries requires courage, especially when you care about someone. The fear of conflict or rejection can tempt you to bend, to let things slide to keep the peace. Maybe you've said yes to plans that didn't excite you, just to avoid disappointing someone. Or maybe you've tolerated sarcasm or disrespect because calling it out felt too risky. But Stoicism teaches that your peace of mind is worth protecting. As Seneca wrote, it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult. By upholding your boundaries, You're not just protecting yourself, you're teaching others how to treat you. You're saying, this is what I stand for, and I won't compromise it. This clarity doesn't make you rigid or unapproachable. It makes you strong. Someone who knows their worth and isn't afraid to defend it. This doesn't mean being confrontational or issuing ultimatums. Boundaries are about clarity, not conflict. If honesty is a core value and someone lies to you, address it respectfully but firmly. I value honesty, and I need that in our relationship. Let's talk about what happened. If you need space to recharge, communicate it without guilt. I'd love to hang out, but I need some time to myself tonight. These actions reinforce your self-respect while inviting others to meet you at your level. If they can't respect your boundaries, that's a signal they may not value you as they should. But if they do, you've laid the foundation for a relationship built on mutual understanding and respect. To strengthen your boundaries, try this practice. Identify one area where you've struggled to set or enforce a limit. Maybe it's saying yes to plans that don't excite you, tolerating sarcasm that stings, or letting someone overstep your time. For 1 week, practice upholding that boundary in small ways. For example, if you're tired of last-minute plans, politely decline one and suggest an alternative that respects your schedule. I'm not free tonight, but let's plan for the weekend. Notice how it feels to prioritize your self-respect and observe how others respond to your clarity. You might be surprised at how quickly people adjust when they see you're serious about your boundaries. Over time, these small acts build a reputation. You're someone who knows their worth and won't settle for less. Fostering relationships that honor both you and the other person. Words are seductive promises, compliments, and grand declarations can sweep you off your feet, painting a picture of a perfect future. But the Stoics would warn you to look beyond the surface, to see people for what they do, not just what they say. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. In relationships, it's not someone's words that reveal their character, it's their actions. Actions are the true measure of intent, and focusing on them protects you from disappointment and illusion. Think about someone who promises to call but doesn't, or who talks about building a life together but never follows through with meaningful steps. It's easy to get caught up in their words, especially when emotions cloud your judgment. Maybe you've been charmed by someone's sweet talk, only to realize later that their actions didn't match their promises. We've all been there, holding on to hope based on words that sounded so good. But Stoicism calls for clarity. Judge people by their actions. Do they show up when they say they will? Do they respect your time and boundaries? Do their choices align with their promises? These are the questions that cut through the noise of sweet talk and reveal the truth. This mindset is a shield against heartbreak. Instead of being swayed by charm or flattery, you become an observer of behavior. You notice patterns, show they handle stress, how they treat others, how they keep their word. These are the metrics that matter in any relationship, whether it's a new romance or a long-standing friendship. By prioritizing actions over words, you set a standard. I value substance, not empty promises. This clarity empowers you to invest your energy in people who prove their worth, not just proclaim it. It's like sifting through sand to find gold. You learn to focus on what's real, letting the rest fall away. This principle applies to you as well. Are your actions aligning with your words? If you say you value honesty, are you being truthful, even when it's uncomfortable? If you claim to respect boundaries, are you honoring them in your relationships? The Stoics believed that integrity, consistency between your words and actions is the foundation of a good life. By holding yourself to the same standard you expect from others, you build trust, both in yourself and in the connections you form. You become someone whose actions speak as loudly as their words, someone others can rely on because you live what you say. To sharpen this skill, try this practice for 1 week. Pay close attention to the actions of someone you're close to, whether it's a romantic partner, a friend, or a colleague. Do their behaviors match their words? Write down 1 or 2 observations each day, noting moments where their actions either supported or contradicted what they said. Then reflect on your own actions. Am I living up to the values I claim to hold? Maybe you've promised to be there for a friend, but got distracted by work, or said you value health but skipped your workouts. This exercise builds discernment, helping you navigate relationships with a clear-eyed focus on reality rather than illusion. Over time, you'll find that judging actions over words not only protects your heart, but also strengthens your own integrity, making you a beacon of trustworthiness in your relationships. In a world of instant gratification, polished personas, and carefully crafted words, it's easy to take people at face value. Someone says all the right things, promises a future, showers you with compliments, and you're tempted to believe them, even when subtle red flags wave in the background. The Stoics would urge you to pause, to step back and see things as they are, not as you wish them to be. As Epictetus said, first learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. In relationships, this translates to healthy skepticism, not cynicism or distrust, but a thoughtful, clear-eyed approach to discerning truth. Healthy skepticism doesn't mean assuming everyone is lying or out to hurt you. It means being observant, asking questions, and letting actions prove words. Imagine you meet someone new who seems perfect. They're charming, attentive, and talk about a future together after just a few dates. It's intoxicating, and your heart wants to dive in. But a Stoic mindset would say, slow down, observe, let their actions speak. Are they consistent in their behavior? Do they follow through on their promises? Or are their words a mirage, fading when you look closer? This approach protects your heart and your peace of mind. By staying grounded, you avoid projecting your hopes onto someone before they've earned your trust. It's not about closing yourself off to connection, it's about being wise. You're open to love, but you're not naive. You give people the chance to prove themselves while safeguarding your emotional well-being. This balance allows you to approach relationships with both openness and discernment, ensuring you invest in connections that are real and reciprocal. Skepticism also means questioning your own assumptions. Are you seeing someone clearly, or are you filling in the gaps with what you want to believe? The Stoics emphasized reason over emotion, not to suppress feelings, but to temper them with clarity. When you combine your emotions with a dose of logical skepticism, you see people for who they are, not who you hope they'll be. This clarity is empowering. It frees you from the trap of wishful thinking and grounds you in reality. To cultivate this skill, try this practice the next time someone makes a big promise, whether it's a romantic interest, a friend, or a colleague. Don't rush to believe it. Instead, note it and observe their actions over the next week or two. Do they follow through? Are they consistent? Write down your observations to stay objective, noting specific moments where their actions either confirmed or contradicted their words. This small habit builds discernment, helping you navigate relationships with a balance of heart and mind. You might notice, for example, that someone who promised to prioritize you cancels plans repeatedly, or that a friend who claims to value your friendship is always there when you need them. Over time, healthy skepticism becomes a natural part of how you approach relationships, allowing you to build connections that are grounded in truth rather than illusion. Saying no is one of the most powerful acts of self-respect, but it's not always easy. In relationships, it's tempting to say yes to everything, plans, requests, compromises to keep the peace or avoid rejection. Maybe you've agreed to a date that didn't excite you, just to avoid disappointing someone, or let a partner's hurtful comments slide to avoid conflict. But the Stoics taught that true strength lies in staying true to your values, even when it's uncomfortable. As Seneca wrote, there is no person so severely punished as those who subject themselves to the whip of their own remorse. Saying no isn't about being difficult or stubborn, it's about honoring yourself and your principles, declaring through your actions what you stand for. Imagine you're in a relationship, and your partner asks you to do something that doesn't sit right with you. Maybe they want to move too fast, pushing for a commitment you're not ready for. Or they're asking you to compromise a core value, like honesty or independence. The easy path is to go along, fearing conflict or the possibility of losing them. But a Stoic mindset shifts the perspective. Saying no is an act of courage. It's a declaration that I value myself and my beliefs. By setting that boundary, you're not just protecting your peace, you are showing the other person what you stand for. You're saying, this is who I am, and this is what I need. This clarity doesn't make you unapproachable, it makes you strong. Someone who knows their worth and isn't afraid to defend it. Saying no doesn't mean ending the relationship or creating drama. It's about clarity and respect, both for yourself and the other person. For example, if someone asks you to cancel plans with friends to spend time with them. You might say, "I value my friendships, so I'm going to keep those plans. Let's find another time to hang out." This response is firm but kind, reinforcing your boundary while keeping the door open for connection. If they can't respect your no, that's a signal they may not value you as they should. But if they do, you've laid the foundation for a relationship built on mutual understanding and respect. This takes practice, especially if you're used to people-pleasing. The fear of disappointing someone or pushing them away can be intense, whispering doubts like, "What if they leave? What if they don't like me anymore?" But Stoicism teaches that your inner peace is worth more than temporary harmony. By saying no when it matters, you're not just setting boundaries with others, you're being honest with yourself about what you need and deserve. To build this confidence, try this practice. Start small by saying no in a low-stakes situation, like declining an invitation that doesn't interest you. Do it calmly without over-explaining, "Thanks, but I'm going to pass." Notice how it feels to assert your needs without guilt, how it shifts your sense of power. Then, as you grow more comfortable, apply this to bigger moments, saying no to a request that compromises your values or disrespects your time. Maybe it's telling a partner, "I'm not comfortable with that, let's find another way," or declining to tolerate behavior that crosses your boundaries. Each no strengthens your resolve, showing the world and yourself that you're someone who knows their worth and isn't afraid to stand by it. Over time, this practice builds relationships that are built on mutual respect, where both parties honor each other's boundaries and values. Chasing someone who's pulling away is one of the most disempowering things you can do. It's a natural instinct when someone you care about starts to distance themselves. Whether it's a romantic partner, a friend, or a family member, you want to bridge the gap, to prove your worth, to win them back. But the Stoics would ask, why are you pursuing something you can't control? Your worth isn't defined by someone else's affection or attention, it's defined by you. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your men, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength when someone pulls away. The Stoic response is to let them go, not out of coldness or indifference, but out of respect for yourself. If they truly see your worth, they'll show it through their actions, not just their words. If they don't, no amount of pursuit will change that. By letting go, you're not admitting defeat, you're reclaiming your power, choosing to invest your energy in what aligns with your values. This doesn't mean you never fight for a relationship. If someone is worth your effort, you'll work through challenges together, building something stronger through mutual commitment. But there's a difference between effort and chasing. Effort is reciprocal, rooted in respect and shared goals. Chasing is one-sided, driven by fear or desperation. Imagine you're dating someone who's become distant, canceling plans or responding with one-word texts. Your instinct might be to double down, to text more, to try harder to win their attention. But chasing is like trying to catch water in your hands. It slips away, leaving you empty. The Stoic approach is to stand firm in your worth. If they value you, they'll show it through their actions, reaching out, making time, respecting your boundaries. If they don't, let them go. This act of letting go isn't about closing your heart, it's about opening it to possibilities that honor who you are. This mindset is liberating. When you stop chasing, you shift your focus to what you can control: your growth, your values, your life. You invest in yourself, your passions, your goals, your well-being. Maybe you take up that hobby you've neglected, like painting or running, or spend time with friends who lift you up. Maybe you set a new goal, like learning a skill or tackling a project that excites you. By focusing on your own path, you build a life that's rich and fulfilling, regardless of who's by your side. And here's the paradox: when you value yourself, you naturally attract people who do the same. Your confidence, your self-respect, your refusal to settle become a beacon, drawing in those who appreciate you for who you are, not what you can do for them. This isn't about playing games or manipulating others, it's about living with integrity, knowing that you deserve relationships that meet you where you are. To embody this lesson, try this practice the next time you feel the urge to chase someone who's pulling away, whether it's texting them repeatedly, trying to convince them to stay, or compromising your boundary spouse. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, am I acting from self-respect or fear? Then redirect that energy into something that builds you up, a hobby you love, a goal you're working toward, or a moment of quiet reflection. Write down one thing you did to invest in yourself instead of chasing Mabe. You went for a walk to clear your mind or spent an evening reading a book you've been meaning to finish. This shift transforms not just your relationships, but your entire approach to life, grounding you in your own value and freeing you from the need to seek it from others. These 9 lessons: knowing your true worth, presenting yourself with dignity, mastering nonverbal communication, being willing to walk away, setting boundaries with strength, judging actions over words, cultivating healthy skepticism, saying no with confidence, and never chasing, but always valuing your roadmap to becoming your best self in relationships. They're not about manipulating others, winning at love, or achieving some idealized version of romance. They're about mastering yourself, living with integrity, and building connections that reflect your deepest values. Each lesson is a thread in the tapestry of your life, weaving together to create a picture of who you are and who you're becoming. Life is unpredictable and relationships are messy. There will be moments of doubt, heartbreak, and uncertainty, dates that don't work out, friendships that fade, or misunderstandings that sting. But the Stoics remind us that we always have a choice, how we respond. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Every interaction, every challenge, every moment of connection is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more authentic. These lessons are your tools to navigate that journey with clarity and purpose, to approach relationships not as a quest for validation, but as a chance to share your worth with those who see it. So, here's your challenge. Pick one lesson from this exploration and apply it this week. Maybe it's starting each morning with a reflection on your worth, reminding yourself that you're enough just as you are. Maybe it's saying no to something small that doesn't align with your values, like an invitation that feels more like an obligation. Or maybe it's noticing someone's actions over their words, paying attention to whether their behavior matches their promises. Start small, but start. The Stoic path is about progress, not perfection. Each step you take builds a foundation for relationships that are real, respectful, and rooted in mutual strength. And as you practice, you'll notice a shift not just in how others see you, but in how you see yourself. If this journey resonates with you, keep exploring. Dive into Stoic texts like Meditations by Marcus Aurelius or Letters from a Stoic by Seneca, where you'll find wisdom that speaks to the challenges of modern life. Seek out communities or resources that inspire you to live with intention, whether it's books, podcasts, or conversations with like-minded people who value growth and authenticity. The path to self-mastery is lifelong, but every step brings you closer to the person you're meant to be, person who navigates relationships with clarity, confidence, and a quiet strength that draws others in. Thank you for joining me on this journey. You're not alone in this. We're all navigating the complexities of life, love, and connection, one step at a time. Keep going, stay true to yourself, and embrace the Stoic within. Your worth is the brightest thread in the canvas of your life. Let it shine, and let it guide you to relationships that honor who you are, relationships that add depth and beauty to the tapestry of your existence. If this message resonates with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that will help you create the life you truly deserve.